Wait, let me just make sure we are on everything. Hold on.
So, cool.
Good. Okay, cool. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another Wednesday Live with Meta Intro. As you know, if you're tuning in for the second or third or fourth time, we do these lives every Wednesday and talk about all different topics underneath the Web3 career professional umbrella. We've done everything from chatting about resume reviews, how to optimize your LinkedIn, to salary negotiation, pay rates in different countries. Um, you name it, we've done it. So if you're watching a recording of this, make sure to check out this playlist and scroll all the way back to, I want to say, November to see all of the videos that we've done chatting about all of these great topics. And so today we have a guest, which we haven't brought on a guest in a while. However, I met Mike at NFT NYC, and given that we were just coming into tax season and all of that good stuff, I thought it might be a good time, even though we're a little post-it, but a good time to bring him into our live and talk about his services and what he does. So, Mike, welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. It was nice meeting you at NFT NYC. And yeah, like you mentioned, especially coming off tax season, there's kind of a lot of these questions that come up, to people. I'm an accountant in the space. I work with a firm in the city called Cryptedge. So, I go to a lot of conferences. And I'm always getting these questions of, personal tax, business tax, what's going on, what's happening. And it's a lot of questions that go on. So I'm happy to be here and kind of just navigate I think from a very high level, what that looks like for individuals, but also on the business end. I don't know, if you're in a business or you're, I guess, in your own. Some of the stuff is similar, some is quite different. So there's a lot to navigate, but that's what we do pretty much. Yeah.
What's your background?
So I'm a CPA, and my background started really with an audit firm on Long Island called Naraki Smith in Melville. I don't know if you're from New York, you would know, like this place on Long Island, and then maybe, and then I moved over to EY. I did actually international tax there and global compliance. And then after that, Friends Gardening in EY. And then after that, basically went the private accounting firm route with Cryptedge and work with some CPAs now to help a lot, mostly blockchain businesses, advance kind of their financial operations through this space, because sometimes they run into very specific Web3 problems, mainly the valuation of assets at certain times. How are we looking at crypto rewards coming in? This is a big problem, and then all flows into the tax side as well. So a lot of times, it'll be confusing because you have these things that don't exist in a normal business, like the crypto rewards, right? Like, so we have to figure out how they exist on companies' financial statements, like their income statements and balance sheets, and then how do they exist on our tax statements. So basically, my background kind of flows, I think, kind of well into these questions and kind of being able to research and understand these questions.
And what's your Web3 background?
So personal Web3 background started like 2017. I started in like the ETH kind of boom, all that ETH killers and all those like DeFi projects. Um, and I was like investing, and then in 2020 I shifted over to doing at the same time I was at EY, actually a side business. EY doesn't know. I never told them, but basically what I was doing, I was actually doing a node running business. So basically, me and a friend of my own engineering partner, we set up this small kind of shop to do node running for people. So if they wanted to run an ETH node, they want to run a Solana node, they'd come to us. We would set the node up for them, and we would basically rent it to them. They would pay us a fee, and we rent it for them, and they can get their rewards. We usually would take like a fixed fee or like a percentage share of any rewards that came in. But that was like really eye opening for me on the business side, because like personal investing was a lot of research on my own just to see what am I buying to make money, whatever. But this time it was like, whoa, I'm actually in the kind of hot seat here, and I'm looking at what the technology is, what's the better technology, what's faster, what's more efficient. And during that time, at the same time, we also opened a small exchange, OTC.
You opened a small exchange.
Yeah, small OTC exchange, and it's fully compliant. We operate in 38 states. Um, yeah, it was super interesting. I learned so much. It was like, I learned a lot about compliance, which is the biggest thing. And then 2021, we closed shop just because our market niche was very small. We worked with a lot of smaller projects. So a lot of our node running was actually small projects. We were trading the small project coins. And then it just, a lot of the times what happened was the coins moved off OTC onto bigger secondary markets. So we lost the market share.
Yeah.
And that was my big crypto experience, I'd say. And then I just took basically node running clients and like other projects we worked with on the OTC side. I kind of moved them under the accounting umbrella. So I kind of out of that was kind of born the accounting side. So it wasn't so simple of a shift like
Yeah.
because EY I didn't really do many blockchain things. I did like one investigation into an
Hmm.
exchange. That was it. I mean, there was a group out in San Francisco, but I wasn't really a part of it. I was in the New York group, so
Yeah.
yeah. So at the same time that happened, and then when that kind of died down, I kind of rolled it into a new service, which was just pretty traditional accounting. So I mean, the company now is very it's very tradfi. You know, it's all the traditional things you see in business, but applied to this new space.
Yeah. Well, now EY is doing a bunch of stuff. I see all of their open roles consistently.
Yeah,
It's kind of a race between the big fours right now.
yeah. They're like recruiting big time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, and it's kind of a shame because when I was there, like I was finishing up there, and I was like gearing to leave basically. And I was like, all right, I'm done. Like I don't want to do Big Four anymore. And they were like basically like begging me to stay because I told them
Really?
why I was leaving. Yeah, I was like, because I was like, I really wanted to be a part of the crypto group. You guys never really opened that door to me. And then they were like, I basically like, I reached out to a couple partners to turn my grievance against my EY employment. No, it was like a grievance. It was like, I aired it to the partners. I said, hey, listen, I know a lot about crypto. You should really put me on a blockchain project. And I did this probably over 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Nothing. And then when I left, they're like, oh, no, we'll do it. And I'm like, yeah, too
Really?
sorry. I mean, I'm not going to, yeah. So, but yeah, they're definitely racing. I know they're building up the practices, and there's just so much going into it. I mean, they're starting to show up at big conferences too. I was in Consensus,
Yeah.
and there was guys. So yeah, they're starting to show face for sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to, I think it was Deloitte that had their job listings everywhere
Yeah,
on that side hall on the main floor. I want to say it was Deloitte. And uh,
gotcha.
great timing with all of the press coming out about all of the positions that they're hiring for,
Yeah,
plus the signage at Consensus. Great opportunity to recruit.
yeah,
So
they're good.
that was
Yeah.
very planned.
Yeah, because they have the two sides that go into crypto, and those companies are big four accounting, right? And they have audit and tax. Audit doesn't really pick up a lot of clients there. Tax would, because obviously, well, why we're here, there's a lot of tax issues with these businesses, and they're not really going for individuals. They're definitely going for the bigger crypto client names because they want to pick up these bigger crypto businesses with a lot of funding. But then there's just that other advisory side where basically like you know, people need compliance advisory. And so I think at Cryptedge, we're kind of trying to be, I mean, I always say to people, like privately, I always say, I always want to become like the EY of the space. I mean, not easy. Also, I don't want to be 250,000 people globally. It's too big. But just in general, like I think there's just like that whole entire in capturing, accounting, tax, and advisory is really, that
Yeah.
is smart because that's what they do. And they've succeeded at it too.
There's is there a leader in the space right now? I don't think so.
I mean, personally,
Yeah.
I think there is a firm that the
Yeah.
accounting firms that capture a lot
Yeah.
of the accounting clients. I mean, if you know, I think you'd only know if you're on the accounting side though. There's like a firm called Propeller, and they're pretty good. They
Yeah.
capture a lot of, and I've worked with them before, and they're good. And yeah, they capture a lot of the accounting clients. They don't really do tax. They prepare you for taxes basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, which is what we do. I mean, like we do tax like if for normally it's more like high net worth individuals. We'll do tax like actual statements for, but most of what we do is advisory. So we prepare you in like other, say for example, you want to get set up in like another country, like the Caymans. Like we deal with that, for example, or like the kind of compliance that goes around setups and tax liabilities in other places as well as the U.S. Um, but yeah, I would say there's like a couple, but they're not like the big four. They're not regional firms. They're actually smaller, really specialized firms that are leading, I think, the space and gaining a lot
Mhm.
of clients in terms of crypto people.
What kind of clients do you have?
Ours are generally what we focus on are institutional,
Hmm.
and that is mainly for our financial bookkeeping practice, and also for when we work with them, treasury management and compliance.
Yep.
And really what we work with are L1 protocols or like L2s, but generally protocol type projects.
Yeah.
We usually try to gear towards working with, and traditionally that's kind of where we started was working with projects that had a whole entire blockchain behind them. Generally, like from the accounting perspective, it just they came off as more serious, and so that was a good client to go with. So we didn't know they were just kind of like like a big flash of flame in this grand scheme of things. I mean, we're only in a space that's really, now 7, 8 years old for these types of industries. So, we want to make sure we get clients that are going to last, a few years. So we usually go for the ones with a little bit more funding. We're always kind of
Yeah.
checking out what's going on. But now, what we're starting to do more is take on high net worth tax individuals, and really what I'm trying to do now is build up the tax side of the business for just not even high net
Yeah.
worth, just everybody. So that's kind of because usually the high net worth ones, it's like that with the return was just better, and we were better suited for especially offshore type questions because we were working with offshore companies with the financial bookkeeping stuff.
Yeah.
So here, but now I think as we go into the tax issues and it's more and more coming up, I think the normal investor is kind of the type of people we're looking to work with.
Mhm. At what point will you decide to open up your practice to individuals?
No, I think it's just a gradual thing. I think it already has really. I mean, we've opened up to a couple. So I mean,
Yeah.
the past few conferences, I've met more and more people, basically because
Yeah.
this season there was some changes. So, I'm we're open now for sure.
Yeah.
Open for that. It's just we don't really advertise as much.
Okay.
But
Okay.
normally when I go, I'm looking institutional. That's like my lens. I'm not like
Yeah.
going and saying, "Oh, you need tax help." It's not really, but I think now because of all the questions we're getting and the more people we're bringing on, just kind of on like a under the radar type thing, I think it's
Yeah.
the door is definitely open.
Yeah. So for individuals that are listening that might be curious about having their personal taxes done maybe for next year, what are some good ways, if you can advise on any, that they can be best prepared to file their taxes next year? So like, what is the ideal scenario when somebody comes to you? What do they need to have?
Definitely, yeah. There's a couple things like because it gets a little complicated, right? So
Yeah.
we have like different sources of where this information is going to come from. So normally what we have is you can have one chain. You can just be an Ethereum trader, for example. Okay, everything's listed on Etherscan, right? It's easy. So you can pull that, you can manually pull it, you can get a CSV download. Okay, not so bad. And you submit that, and then we know all your dates, times, prices, easy. But the thing is, when you start going to multiple chains, you have to really be recording what you're trading on,
Yep.
in what time frame. So we have to know like were they actually done within the tax year or were they outside the year. But you can find that usually when you get those outputs. Usually all the explorers have a CSV output. The tricky thing might be when you go to something like an exchange or a DeFi protocol that kind of doesn't show the transfer of funds or swap of funds really quick on the kind of hides it. So those are the types of things where they need to be more manually recorded because they're not going to be recorded on the blockchain because
Yeah.
like an exchange, that's not that's on the blockchain. That's in its own wallet. They're just transferring on their own exchange. It's not going between two wallets, stuff like that. So that stuff really needs to be manually recorded, and that's super important so that we know what the liability or loss really is, so you can carry that forward. And there's a couple good tools for that actually. Not for the hidden stuff. That one you really have to do manually, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
on Etherscan or like I guess Polygon, other places where you'll find the data on these explorers, there's a couple good products. We use for one for example, we use a Zen Ledger. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but we partner with them and basically they have a good good product to download or pull in all that data from all these different explorers that they support, all the chains.
Yep.
And they give you the price on the day, and they'll give you what the cost basis is using FIFO, LIFO, or real time. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty helpful. I mean, there's a lot of good tooling that's coming out.
Yeah.
So I mean, what I always say is just record keeping. Thing is, but with a product like Zen Ledger or like Cryptedge, like these are really good things that just pull in everything, give you all the prices and all the gains or losses in one place. So as long as like if you can get everything onto one of those tools,
Yeah.
like that's good. But usually what happens is you're going to be missing data because you're not just unless you're just trading through MetaMask. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah. It's I've seen QuickBooks staffing up, like probably over the past 6 months. But it's, if you're like full degen and only trading in crypto and purchasing in
Right.
crypto and doing all of that stuff, keeping. That would be insane to keep track of it all.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about actually these products is that they help you obviously if you're trading on DGen, but then they flow into QuickBooks, which is nice. So they if you
Oh,
do
it
have,
does go into QuickBooks. Okay.
so you have like a traditional, yeah, I mean obviously it's not a QuickBooks tool, but it flows like it's an integration.
Oh,
So it's nice that you can have like a traditional business or traditional way of accounting, and you can flow into your personal QuickBooks or your business QuickBooks. Yeah, so it's nice.
got it. So if you're listening and you hear my dogs in the background as every live, if you're listening, getting yourself integrated into some of those tools would be a great next step, or step to take now before next year. You probably do not want to be doing this right before taxes are due. That would probably be pretty crazy.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing is what if you can get all the data, like I said, that you did on Easy Chains, like the
Yep.
big one, but you might be missing something. And something great about Zen Ledger is that they actually give you a pop up. It usually like it has like all these. I don't know how they do it, I guess because I'm not a coder, but they basically must run something through where it's like, oh, if someone puts this in, then they might be missing information that deals with this, and then they'll give you like, yeah, it's cool because
That's
it helps
great.
you. You can be missing stuff. You can owe more money, or you could actually be paying too much. So they'll calculate your liability as well. Yeah, it's great. Cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And so tell me a little bit about what you do between tax season and off tax season at work. Is it all advisory services?
Yeah, advisory, but also general bookkeeping and compliance.
Gotcha.
Yeah, our main business has been the actual getting into crypto companies, doing their institutional side accounting, making sure everything's good. We produce monthly and quarterly reports, and then help on the compliance side with FinCEN, GAAP, Internal Revenue Code, like just general like business tax advisory. Because I mean, sometimes that stuff is always going on too, and a lot of times businesses will take an extension, and so we're really working on business tax like up until October usually. So in that there's never really. It's not like there's a busy season. It's not like there's an overly busy time. It's just that there's never really a downtime either. I'd say that when people's taxes are coming in, that is generally more busy because there's a kind of a time constraint on that. But I mean, we have dates every month that we release reports for companies, and that's generally how it works between months and between time periods.
Can you tell me about the advisory services?
Sure. Yeah. So as CPAs, we have a couple of different levels of advisory we can give. We can give some levels of financial advisory. So we help a lot of times with treasury management and how companies are managing token treasuries and what returns they're getting. Usually we don't really work with companies that deal with, for example, when they get funded. Like we don't use that money, but it's say they produced a token or they got a grant or something. We manage that. And then on the other side, we do actual compliance. So like I said, when we're dealing with setting up shop in other countries or other states or setting up actual businesses, we help companies walk through the process of setting up a business and make sure they stay compliant. And we make sure that their financial statements are in fully GAAP compliant, which is very similar to IFRS. So we work with European clients as well. And when there's the difference between GAAP and IFRS, we note it, but we generally do both. And yeah, we help with the understanding how companies will operate with each other between, for example, if you have a U.S. entity and a Caymans entity, how are those operating together? Are they liable to each other tax-wise and in different ways? We kind of work in those spaces mainly. And then in the past, I've also done the money transmission stuff, which comes from my time doing exchanging actually. So any licenses with FinCEN, we also work with people to kind of understand their KYC and AML needs. Yeah.
Very cool. Have you been to the Caymans?
No. Have you?
Yeah. My mom is in the Caymans.
Oh, really?
Beautiful.
Wow. Yeah.
Not for tax purposes whatsoever, but
yeah, no, I know a guy who I met him like last year, lives out there for the business purpose.
Yeah.
And your mom lives here now, or is she still in Caymans?
No, she's still in the Caymans. She was a diver in the Caymans.
Wow. Okay, that's cool.
For diving. But you see, like when you go, half of the island is completely gentrified. A ton of the big companies that have established presence there, and then the other half of the island that's more residential, a little bit more underdeveloped. A lot of expats that are there just because they're snowbirds. It's interesting because we talk about going, establishing in the Caymans all the time, but not a lot of people have actually been there to see what in real time that actually looks like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've never been. I guess I'd like to go. I'm not
You
opposed.
should.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll go. All right. Yeah. I mean, I've been told it's beautiful. I mean, I've just told like
Yeah.
I don't think the beach is like white. Is that what it is? Is that what I was told?
Um,
Not really
it's
white.
pretty.
Okay, it's pretty. Okay. But I didn't know if it was like really white sand or something. But I've been thinking something else. But okay. But yeah, I was told super pretty. And yeah, I met mainly through this space. Is like I've met a lot of directors that go down there,
Yeah.
and that's like a part of that kind of corporate, companies sending people down. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of, and I know like before, like maybe like 50 years ago, it wasn't like a place, right, where like a lot of businesses were, right? It's probably
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the side of the island that I was talking about that was more developed, I'd say maybe over the past 5-6 years,
Oh
it's
wow, really recent. Wow.
completely transformed. And then on top of it, like with the cruise lines, I think there's a few 100,000 people that get dropped off there a year, which is, the tourism has brought so much money to the island so that companies can develop more.
It used to be a lot. I don't really know much about the history. Was it like a poor island before? Like it just did nothing, not much was going on, I guess, in terms
It's tourist or like a scuba destination.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but now, like with all of the companies realizing all the tax purposes or tax breaks they can get and the benefits, you now see like that part of the gentrified side of the island where there's the big businesses, the logos and all everything.
Right. Yeah, we work with people also with like the places like in the BVI as well. So I guess it's similar there, probably.
Yeah.
Although I've never been again.
Yeah.
Probably a good amount of gentrification and changing in terms of like corporate interest there as well, because they also have beneficial tax.
Yeah. Somebody should really do like a Web3 conference there. I'm surprised nobody has. Like ETH came in.
Yeah, that would probably be fun. How hard is it to fly from New York? From New York, I assume it's okay because it's
so easy. From New York, it's like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, maybe. I think they just set up a direct flight from LAX to Caymans. I could be wrong on that. Or it's like faster, but there's a direct flight out of Denver that goes.
Out of Denver? Wow.
Yeah. Maybe like 6 hours.
Yeah. 6. Oh, wow. That's not bad at all, actually.
Yeah. Super fast.
For a Caribbean vacation, I guess.
Yeah. Well, next year I ETH Denver, then you'll pop down to.
Yeah, easy. And then I'll go diving. It's good.
Well, is there anything else that we didn't cover?
Yeah, I mean, really simply, I'd just say with tax, make sure everything's together. I recommend using a tool, and make sure you're recording things that aren't recorded on the blockchain. So you don't want to be missing something. You also don't want to be missing tax breaks you can get. So if you have a loss, you can also carry that forward, especially from the business perspective, but also from a personal perspective. Make sure you're carrying forward your losses. Make sure you're taking losses, so that if you have some, you can reduce your gains. And that's kind of the key, I think, with this crypto stuff. And then make sure, I mean, as the CPA, obviously, I'm going to say make sure you're reporting it as well, because the IRS is looking now, and they're making you declare it on every tax return. So make sure it's there. And but obviously, take all the benefits you can.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for joining us to our Wednesday Live. If you're, again, watching the recording of it, we're going to look in the description below. There's all of the links there in the description. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Mike will respond and give you his 2 cents. And we will see you next week.
Awesome. Thank you very much.